morning and welcome to What's in Your Wardrobe, and today I'm here with Natasha.
Doing my label for about 10 years now, and it's kind of evolved over many years from being custom made to commercial, and it is a women's wear brand called Pitra, which is my maiden name, and it is pretty much a very timeless, chic, feminine brand that caters for the millennial generation, for the working woman that loves to be comfortable but stylish at the same time, and is very conscious of our Mother Earth.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. And you've been in heaps of parades
Yes.
and things over that time.
Yes.
Just tell us a little bit about the history of that, like where the business went to through that time frame and how it grew, and maybe if there was a bit of what's the downside of having your own business, that kind of thing.
Well, look, initially I started working in the fashion industry 16 years ago, and at the same time I began to sew my own dresses, and I sold my first dress at a charity event in 2014, and that kind of prompted me to start something. But I never really pushed it too much because I was always working for other people to get that experience, the, I guess, entrepreneurship experience, to understand where I wanted to go. And I guess it kind of evolved as I evolved within myself as a person. So then I showcased at an independent fashion show called Raw in Melbourne. I got into Melbourne Fashion Week, where I presented twice, which is now PayPal Fashion Week, and then at Melbourne Spring Fashion Week. And I decided to launch my brand online in 2023, where I launched internationally with Wolf & Badger, got into British Vogue, gained 5 stockists in Melbourne and Queensland, and it became a massive, I guess, load. As an entrepreneur, you are mostly by yourself. So I guess the downside to that is being able to manage all these different things, being the salesperson, being the designer, being the production person, being customer service, like I said. That, I guess, can be the downside when you are running a business solely by yourself.
Oh, absolutely. And timeline-wise, like, it all, to me, sounds like, wow, everything just exploded. But was there, like, 5 years before your first thing, or what was the timeline kind of like?
So the timeline was probably, about the first couple of years. I'll start from the beginning. The first couple of years, it was mostly custom made. So I was doing custom made bridal, but more for like evening wear, bridesmaid dresses, and then that lasted for about 2 or 3 years. Then I kind of paused a little bit because I was a design and production manager for many brands locally, so I kind of paused the business at times when it was getting too much, obviously, but then the last probably 3 to 4 years I started to really concentrate on it and try and get into different bricks and mortar, into retail, and that's where it kind of started, about around COVID time, which
hard time to start.
Which that's another thing. It was a very hard time to start, but I kind of got lucky because I got into the designer space retail store in Windsor and in Melbourne City, and that gave me a little bit of a direction of the commerciality of our customer in Melbourne, Australia, and it gave me the experience of working with a wholesaler as well. So that's kind of about 4 or 5 years ago, and then 2 years ago I decided to launch online. And the reason why I didn't launch online is because I was still evolving the brand and trying to understand my customer.
And so with those spaces that you had your stock in, are they consignment type spaces, or do they buy your stock like indent, or how do they work? And do they promote you? A few hundred questions.
So traditionally, the way it would work for the many brands that I worked for is that yes, they would buy your stock, but then there were some boutiques that would do on consignment. the way I got into the boutiques was to be on consignment. And that's how I found, especially for small brands, because a big boutique, they don't know you, they don't know your name. You're a small brand compared to the others. So I guess that was kind of a selling point of getting in, was saying, hey, can you take my stuff on consignment? Let's just see how it goes. Obviously make a deal of percent-wise what the boutique will take, what you will take. And that's how it kind of started. And that's how I got, in the last 2 years, I got into 5 boutiques by doing that, but also understanding how the boutiques work, and especially post-COVID, it changed a lot.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately the boutiques weren't making as much money as they were.
Yeah.
And people began to shop differently. And especially within the last 12 months, it really changed the business in terms of how much I make, because like I said, the cost of living has gone up. People are shopping further into experiences, into travel, because we were locked down for so long. Where the spending's kind of going has changed, and especially in the demographic that I designed for. So it was about just being strategic in what area I want to get into, which customer I want to attract, but also in understanding that, hey, my brand's not Camilla and Mark, and I have to negotiate to get myself in there.
And so when you went into those brands, they obviously want like full size ranges and things like that. You just don't go in on consignment with like a one piece kind of scenario. How did you work that? Like you weren't making all of this yourself, or?
No. So originally I just made the samples, and then obviously I work with subcontractors to do the production. I work on a very small production run because I don't want to make what I can't sell, and that's the whole sustainability component of the business.
Completely.
Because this overconsumption is massive, especially in our industry.
Yeah.
So the way I pivoted is I strategically made what I thought I could sell, and that's when my sales hat came on, and I would sell the amount of units that I've made to certain boutiques.
Yeah.
So that's how I kind of did it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how much would your run be, like 50 units, or how much do you normally make?
It really depends on the style.
Yeah.
The more kind of dressiest styles would be less, like maybe 30 units.
Yeah.
But the more commercial stuff like t-shirts or shirts, they'll be around the 50 mark. But again, it just depends on where I'm selling to.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And your business now has evolved and changed.
Yes.
And you're selling different products and things like that. Tell us a little bit about that, where it's gone.
Yeah, so I've kind of ventured into accessories now, and I've collaborated with an artist to do some silk scarves, which I'm wearing today.
Lovely!
But I've also done candles, sensory, and I've found that my customer base really loves that, and it helps the brand get into the home. And it's kind of a, I guess, strategic subconscious way of branding.
Yeah.
So my focus now is just to do those little things to continue the brand, because I also am a mentor in the space at LCI Melbourne.
Yes.
We'll talk about later.
We are.
And I also have done consulting as well for brands, because I have worked across many brands, and even working for myself, I have learnt a lot along the way, and I think it's really important to share your knowledge where you can to help the next gen.
Fantastic. And leading into where you're working now, which I didn't even know existed, and I really love the building and everything when I've walked in. So tell us a little bit about what you do here.
Yeah, cool. Well, originally I began in, of course, the fashion and costume design area, teaching in design and design tech. And then recently, last year, I landed a position in our new Bachelor of Entrepreneurship, Creative Industries, where I will be teaching entrepreneurship fundamentals. And it's pretty much about, I guess, mentoring the next gen of creatives in business, but also giving them an entrepreneurial mindset to be able to venture out there in their creative field and be able to do it, because like I said, most entrepreneurs start alone, and it is a very bumpy ride, and you have days where you don't want to go on anymore. And then you have wins, and it all really depends on what a person perceives as success. And I think that's where we're kind of aiming to mentor the next generation of the creative industries, is not just about business, but about a mindset, a growth mindset, and how you can learn all these things to be adaptable, resilient, and irreplaceable by AI.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's going to be an interesting one when
Yeah.
it rolls out.
Yes, that's another topic in itself.
That's a completely big
Yeah.
topic.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
kind of like I've brought in, I guess, my business, myself as a business, into my mentoring, to be able to give real life advice and mentoring to students with what I currently do, and then with obviously teaching. So I've kind of like branded it all under my name and trying to workshop it that way, because it goes back to what I do with my brand.
Yeah.
Is that people want to purchase or buy into a brand that's relatable. So I feel that the more I share, the more relatable I become, that the brand will be more relatable to women who are in that space, or who are entrepreneurial, or who just want to wear a nice comfy shirt for the day while they're doing their freelancing or whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to kind of pivot all of those things that I do, because I just can't do one thing.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I know. You get bored doing one
exactly,
thing.
yeah,
You don't need to.
Yeah, no.
And so I'm super interested in the entrepreneurial kind of side of things.
Yeah.
And so what do you kind of cover in doing your teaching? Like,
Yeah.
what are the topics?
I teach entrepreneurship fundamentals, and that again is all about building the correct mindset tools to start your venture, wherever it may be. It doesn't have to be fashion. It could be a photographer. It could be, I don't know, you would like to open up your own art exhibition. Okay, it's just about teaching the fundamentals that you need: sales, marketing, financials. I mean, that's the part that a lot of us creatives get stuck on.
Completely.
Yeah. And I've come across it myself. Like when it comes to financials, I kind of go, oh my God, I can't. But when you're an entrepreneur, you have to.
Yes.
You have to deal with it.
Yes.
Because you might not be able to afford a full-time financial person, right?
Yeah.
But we also go over things like management fundamentals, social entrepreneurship, so people that want to create non-for-profit organizations. How do you go about that? Global entrepreneurship, and then it kind of ventures off into a startup lab where you actually begin to create your business venture, and it's like prototyping. You test it, so it's a really cool opportunity because you can actually learn all the fundamentals and then test the business. Because a lot of us that have already been in the industry or that are in the industry, we've had to go through that whilst running a business, whereas in the course we can offer that to the students and hopefully save a few mistakes. I mean, everyone makes mistakes, but it's about understanding. I wish that I had done that before I did all my ventures.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
And so what have you got planned for going forward?
Oh, I can't share too much.
Any secrets?
There are a few actually. I cannot share too much, but I guess the plan is to obviously continue the mentoring, finally launch the entrepreneurship, which is awesome, and then just continue with a few more other things that I'll be introducing with my brand, which you can see on my Instagram. Picture of the label.
New label.
And pretty much just sharing my knowledge in different ways. I presented last year at the Global Sourcing Expo. I don't know if you saw that. That was pretty cool.
I did go to the Global Sourcing
Oh, did
Expo.
you?
Yeah, I was
there.
sourcing for somebody actually.
Cool.
I was actually not sourcing apparel.
Oh wow.
So it was more an accessory.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
Oh,
I actually
yeah.
didn't. I don't know what day you were doing
The
it.
Thursday. I was the last session, but it was amazing, an amazing turnout. So there's any hints of what's to come in the future, that's something that I definitely would
Yeah,
do
right.
again. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
You have any staff in your brand?
Oh, yeah, subcontractors.
Yeah, right.
So the way I've worked it, and again, everyone does it differently, is because I've always been, I call myself a solopreneur, if that's the right word to use. I've always worked with people as subcontractors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
And
so
it's the best way, you don't have to actually employ someone, and then when you have the down times or the high times, you know, there's
exactly.
You don't have to keep paying their wages, basically.
Correct.
I've been a freelancer for
so I work with
20
freelancers.
years. Yeah.
So I use the same pattern maker who's a freelancer.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
I have a team, but they're not
under you.
They're like permanently freelancers to me. So when I'm ready to make something, I've got the pattern maker, I've got the machine. I used to actually, in the beginning, before I had kids, I sewed a lot of it myself. The first PayPal Fashion Week I did was with Aaron Katona. I was part of the independent program, and I had 10 looks, and I'm pretty sure I sewed about 7 of them.
Right.
But that was in the beginning. Now, obviously, I am a working mum. I have 2 kids. Got to mention that. And I have to organise my time differently. So I do have people on the ground that I can just call up and be like, hey, got a new collection, let's go.
I don't know why more people don't work that way though.
Yeah.
Because they don't have to pay
No.
the superannuations, the work cover, all of those things that cost more and more money. And if you don't like the person, you don't need to get them to come in again.
And to be honest, that's what I think, especially in the fashion world, people get trapped into. They begin their brand, and that's another part of, I guess, entrepreneurship, is your business model.
Totally.
The business model has changed, especially post-COVID. Like I said, a lot of the boutiques that even the brands I've worked for stocked in, unfortunately, closed down, and people had to work around changing their business models, and I think it's going to change even more in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Because especially in the creative world, whether it's fashion, art, graphics, whatever it may be, the way we work together, and obviously mentioning AI, it's changing, and you have to keep up to date with it. So you can be successful in whatever success means to you. Some people it is money. Some people it's freedom of time.
Yes.
Some people it's something else. So whatever your success may be, you can work your business model around it, and that's why my business model has always been about the people and who I work with, and the planet, of course, and ensuring that I'm not underpaying someone. I'm not making too much in the world, only what I can sell, and also working with people in a freelance kind of way, because I also am a mentor, I also consult, so I kind of wear 3 different hats under my brand name.
And I think that it's going to be rapid change too. It's not going to be slow.
Yeah.
And also some of those larger companies, I think they're going to have to take on this type of business model as well. Like, because when I first started freelancing, you could hardly get into some of those larger companies. It was only the smaller ones. And I'm like, but guys, why are you advertising for that person when really that person isn't a full-time position in my mind? Like, you could easily do that by a freelancer coming in on those certain periods, and then you're cutting out so many other costs. So,
and that was also part of my expertise working for other brands, is I used to come in as a design production manager, and I would literally set up the sample room and get the right people in, and some of them were freelancers, and I would work it like that. And I remember one of my old bosses saying to me, that's a really good idea. And I'm like, well, you're not going to be making a range every week.
No.
Get them in, make the range. Obviously, if they did well, they'll get work again.
Yeah.
Yes, it's harder. It was harder for freelancers because you're always trying to get the work, and I've been a freelancer for many years in between. And it's just about strategically aligning yourself with people that have the same values as your business, that are ready to jump on board when it's collection time or whatever it is you need, even in social media kind of stuff, because that's another area that I'm finding. I'm from the last generation that grew up without it. It came in when I was a young teen. So understanding that part has been a new, I guess, learning curve for me too. And then with the new generation that I'm teaching, like they're like whizzes at it, like
Yeah.
they know everything.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Like how to post something, TikTok, whatever it may be. And my students have actually taught me a lot as well.
Yeah.
So again, it's aligning yourself with the right people
Absolutely.
to get to the end result. And,
Yeah.
And like I just mentioned, I think the biggest thing that I always mentor, consult, or suggest is the idea of success. Because when I first got into the industry, my mind was like, I want to have this big brand, 20 stores, be the next Scanlon Theodore, yeah? I work for them, by the way. They're awesome. Anyway.
Yeah.
And that was my kind of initial perception. But as I've gone through and worked many different roles for people, for myself, I realised along the way that, hey, that's actually not the success that I want.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want a brand, but I don't necessarily need the brand to be that big.
Yeah.
Bigger brand, bigger problems, yeah?
It's understanding what success looks like for you,
Yeah.
because also you've got that thing where society says success is this.
Yes.
But what is it for you
Yeah.
is something that you need to work out specifically too before all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's something I always speak to my clients or students, is because they come in thinking one thing, and then I guarantee by the end of the trimester, they have a new perception, new idea of what success is. And that's fine because, again, times are changing. Yes, again, I'll mention AI is coming in, but, you know, the, I guess, doom gloom around it that some people think it's not necessarily that way. Like, it's understanding that this is a new tool coming in. Let's see how we can incorporate it in what we do without being irreplaceable.
Absolutely, because it's going to come in regardless.
Yeah.
So you may as well use it and know about it and know
Yes.
how to utilise it for yourself.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's no use worrying about.
Exactly. But
Like
you need to know
that.
the fundamentals
Yeah,
of
totally.
your area to be able to do it. properly.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Thank you so
No
much.
worries.
We've been trying to do this for ages now. So thanks a lot.